Hello everyone, welcome to the course Society and Media, UGC Swayam. Today we will be discussing module number 1 for week 5 titled Media and Dominant Paradigms of Change. The learning outcome of this module is to provide an understanding of understand media and its effects on society. Other one, media, links and different paradigms. Understand the role of media in shaping and influencing paradigms. Understand the paradigms of mass media in digital age. Let us understand the radical changes in the fields of media and mass communication, which has been possible only due to technology. 15 years ago, the only use of mobile phones was confined to just talking to people and exchanging the messages. But today, the mobile phone has become the means of meeting our most important needs. With the help of the internet, information, education, health, business and entertainment, all other needs are fulfilled very easily by mobile phone only. Presently, the entire media and entertainment industry has gone completely digital and online. Today, all other forms of media such as print, that is newspapers and magazines, radio, television and film are available through the internet. Changes in the world of media have not only saved the time taken in the exchange of information, but also its intensity. The quality also improved. In short, we can say that due to technology of digitization, the media world, there has been a positive change in both the producer and the consumers, which has led to the change in the developed and developing countries in the social, cultural, economic, political and spiritual fields. According to the Marshall McLuhan, the medium is the message. From this, the power of the word medium can be estimated. That's why we give more importance to digital media, because with the help of the digital media, we get instant consumer feedback. Today, a paradigm shift has occurred in the communication and media fields. In order to stay connected with their consumers, media house keep devising strategies as per their needs through the digital media. They are constantly researching on the assurance that there is no difference or confusion between industry and the consumer, as well as developed a global chain system to optimize the entire communication system. Due to the limited access to the traditional media, digital media is promoting the system, the media and the entertainment industries use video conferencing and social media tools such as Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, etc. to facilitate the wide and universal exchange of information and culture. A dominant paradigm change is a kind of theoretical structure that was developed after the Second World War. Now let us move on to the dominant paradigms of development. The modernization paradigm emerged after the Second World War in 1949, somewhere between 1950 and 1960. The Western model of development became more popular and influential, especially in the developed countries. While it came as a challenge to the developing and underdeveloped countries, this modernization both appeared as a free market approach to bring such countries out of their poverty conditions. The origin of the dominant paradigm and its principles and applications should be considered in the historical context of the years after World War II, which is also known as Cold War era. The Cold War was polarized at that time by two world superpowers, that is United States of America and Soviet Union, that is Russia. And this polarization had an effect on the whole world. In this context, the modernization paradigms propagated by political scientists and scholars of Western developed countries, which became extremely strong and pervasive in every dimension of social life of the people. Hence, it could be known as the dominant paradigm. As per the Rogers, in the year 1960 model, it is called as the dominant paradigm of development because it strongly influenced the field of development. In this model, greater emphasis was placed on increasing productivity, economic growth, industrialization, urbanization, and technology through a centralized planning. It is only with the aid that the goal of development can be achieved. Through development, the traditional conservative society can be transformed into a dynamic, industrialized, urbanized, and socially dynamic nation. As per the Daniel Lerner and Wigglesworth, they argued in favor of the dominant paradigm that the technology and automation are the essential for growth and the change. They also described the role of communication in technological development as a very important and argued that the cause of underdevelopment in the developing countries is not an external factor but is internal factor which is existing within their nation and the individual as well as the social structure. Lerner further identified 4 points, which is literacy, media exposure, industrialization, political participation in the context of development. According to him, people should be more dynamic, empathetic, and participatory, which is essential for the development. Lerner, 1958, suggested that the development requires more media exposure, political participation, and developing mental empathy as a modern society, which is participatory society and works by the consensus. Further, the key paradigm in Lerner's communication model for development was based on the communication as a method of vertical communication in which information flow from the authorities to the general public, that is top to bottom. The use of mass media channels to gather the general public for development, and they had to be mobilized for the social change. Now let's explore the ideas of mass media and modernization theory. Modernization theories outlines the process of transforming an underdeveloped society into a fully and modern developed society. It is generally argued that the spread of modern lifestyle of developed countries through the medium of mass media increases social inequality. Its communication, promotion, and dissemination are only between the rural and urban elite, and the consumerism created by the media frustrates the people who are poor because it does not matches their economic and social realities. The strategies suggested for the communication process in this context include not only educating people about the vicious nature stifling interdependence, but also organizing them through the media for regional and national cooperation. They also argued that the mass media system in these countries was caught in a dependency relationship and at the times actively supported them. Therefore, communication strategies must be designed in a way so that they can serve educational and organizational functions of the society. Thus, the mass media can be purposefully employed after structural changes have taken place in the society itself. In the communication field, this modernization theory led to the first systematic and rigorous efforts to research communication related applications in the context of the development. Scholars of the time began to pay more attention to communication processes and their effects, which is with the Lasswell 1948, Katz and Lazarsfeld 1955 and Clapper 1960 being prominent, while Lerner Rogers 1962 and Schramm 1964 were also particularly interested in this study and reflected on how mass media and communication could be used to promote national development. Communication in a dominant paradigm change is basically a linear mass media model that aims to transmit information and messages from one person to another person or a group of people, usually in a vertical or top-down direction. By the 1970s, the idea was rooted in a firm belief in a driving force of the media. At that time, development was associated with the use of communication media to persuade people to achieve, sustain and strengthen development goals, and the role of mass media was the paramount at that time. For example, in the year of 1960s, UNESCO recognized the mass media as an important tool for promoting the change. Now let's understand changing paradigms of mass media in the digital age. The advent of the internet has changed the entire paradigm of communication that helped us to describe and understand public communication ecosystem. Media scholars and social scientists believe that digital media brought dramatic shifts and challenges to the ways traditional mainstream media functions and operates. These changes can be viewed from three important dimensions, that is, number one, new relations with audience, that is interactivity, interactions with the people, with the audiences, with the consumers. Language of communication, that is multimedia, the language used in the multimedia communication. Altered grammar of new media, hypertext, that is the new grammar, the new layman's language used in the traditional media and the new media, that is the digital media. Media scholars and social scientists believe that digital media has brought dramatic shifts and challenges to the way traditional mainstream media functions and operates. These changes can be viewed from three important dimensions, that is, number one, new relations with the audiences. We can consider that interactivity, the interaction due to the advent of new technology, advancement in the digital technology, the interaction between the audiences and the broadcasters increases. There is immediate feedback, and the broadcasters, they can get the feedback of their audiences immediately. Number two, the language of communication in the multimedia, that language also becomes layman language, traditional, and that basic language is now minimal. The third one is altered grammar of new media in the form of hypertext. The grammar is minimal in the new media and the traditional mainstream media because the language used in the media becomes a layman language. Further, an important paradigm shift that has occurred due to the new media technology is unhindered entry of new many players into the business of content production, which includes enterprises, institutions, groups, families, individual among others, and produces an intangible product. This has enabled by the increased internet penetration, lower cost of production, and the opportunity to showcase your content to the global audience. There has been a sustained expansion of the blogosphere, and the audiences transformed themselves into prosumers rather than merely being passive content consumers. A term known as Generation C refers to the content that is intangible product has been coined to describe a young population who are technology savvy and confident enough to create their own films, videos, artworks, photographs, writings and records to publish them on the internet and social networking sites without any broadcasting or taking permission. Terms like self-media, nano-publishing and thin media is evolved and emerged with the proliferation of the blogosphere. However, this has posed a challenge for the traditional media as now citizens themselves provide alternative coverage and multiple perspectives on similar issues and sometimes criticize the mainstream media for their reportage and becomes the citizen journalist. Citizens have become a media themselves and the sources of information for the traditional media. Social networking sites and the potential of virality have further enhanced the active participation of media users in the communication process. New media has defined the classical mass media models and the communication has become more user-centric. There is a realization amongst the media houses that they are now in the business of content creation, but in the digital age, communication has not only become more focused on the user, that is consumers, but there are also a lot more ways to personalize and tailor content for niche groups and audiences. Further, the scholars believe that such options have led to the demassification and declassification of the public communication, and there has been a gradual shift from broadcasting to the narrowcasting that is considered as an alternative media, which has now transformed into a pointcasting after the advent of information and communication technologies and the opening of the internet for the public at large. There has been a paradigm shift from monomedia to the multimedia channels of transmitting and dissemination of content. Digitalization and the media convergence have led to the juxtaposition of text, audio, video, graphics, photos and animation in a single format. At present, most big media houses offer their content in multiple formats and multiple platform services available, including social networking sites like YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, among others. Though there is a credibility of traditional media and their brand image, works for the audience and industrial production of the content by media houses is day by day increasingly being challenged by newer and more active citizens who are producing content. Media convergence has led to a massive digital resets. The readers are now becoming the writers. This approach has led to homogeneous availability of media content on the internet and other platforms, personalizing the content through content syndication, news aggregators, popularity rankings, and suggesting readings is also a big part of people uses of media. However, the decentralized nature of the content creation, especially by the media users themselves, has led to the circumvention of the gatekeeping role of the media editors. However, the decentralized nature of the content creation, especially by the media users themselves, has led to the circumvention of the gatekeeping role of the media editors. They are also challenging the gatekeeper models and agenda setting theories which have been discussed in the context of traditional media, leading to non-mediated content being available in the online environment. User-generated content has also toppled the unilateral distribution of content and transformed the one-to-many approach. User-generated content has also toppled the unilateral distribution of content and transformed the one-to-many approach to a many-to-many distribution model. It demonstrates a strong tendency towards user-centric paradigms. It has led to many layered horizontal and symmetrical many-to-many distribution from single direction to distribution models. It has even changed the periodicity of the media content from hourly, daily, weekly and monthly to real-time updating of the content. Real time is now currency of the online environment due to the overflow of information, new skills, tools to produce and upload data, news, information on a real time basis. The shift marks a change from the scarcity of space and time from print and broadcast media respectively to the abundance of opportunities to create and share content. Digital commodities are easily accessible at any time, at any cost, anywhere. Interactivity offered by the new media offers bilateral as well as multilateral relationships with users even when they are content creators themselves. They could be interacting with the media house through comments, shares, retweets and tweets. It also means users have a choice of content, a choice of time to access the media and the platform they want to view and content on. It allows you to modify content, create content from your own perspectives and even for a system and to communicate it with the other users. 3 levels of interactivity has been identified there. The first layer provides a choice of format and information displayed for applications, websites and navigation interfaces. The second level of interactivity gives the more power to the user to produce inputs for the existing systems through likes, shares, comments, tweets, virality, answering polls and surveys on a real-time basis and even the delayed feedback in some cases. The third layer of interactivity is an opportunity for the users to connect, interact, deliberate or discuss their issues with the other users of the system in a real-time scenario, which is sometimes later as well. The grammar of the new media is hypertext. Digital platforms allow their creators to organize their content by fragmenting it onto small units, that is nodes, with multiple pathways, that is links. This hypertext helps to tilt the narratives in favor of the reader itself. So now we conclude this module and we summarize this module in a nutshell that the learning outcome of this module could be provide an understanding, better understanding of the media and its effects on the society, media links with the different paradigms and the understanding of the role of media in shaping and influencing the paradigms. Another one, the paradigms of media in the digital age could be understood in this module. Other than that, here we have learned how the dramatic shifts and challenges to the way traditional mainstream media functions and operates. And it could be viewed as three important dimensions: new relations with the audiences in terms of interactivity, language use in the communication, multimedia communication, altered grammar used in the new media, and the mainstream traditional media in the form of hypertext. We have discussed and learned these points in this module. Thank you everyone.